Random House Audio Voices presents The Suburban You, Reports from the Home Front. This is Mark Falanga. This is a work of nonfiction. The situations, places, and people depicted in this book are based in reality, but in some cases have been exaggerated for effect or modified in order to disguise a location or protect the anonymity of a private individual. Prologue. Living in the coolest part of the city, you've never imagined yourself ever living in the suburbs. Then you have a kid. He starts to get bigger and older. Soon you recognize fewer and fewer familiar faces at the parks that you frequent with your kid. The same parks where only a year or two earlier you knew everyone. You recognize fewer people because those familiar faces have moved to the suburbs. They sold out. You start looking at houses in the suburbs and are horrified at the thought of living there. Then you meet some people who live there and they tell you they like it. They show you some of the fun suburban stuff to do. It takes you a while, but you acquire a taste for vintage homes and brick streets, which at first looked old and run down, but now look charming to you. Your kid will be ready for kindergarten next year, and your options are some low-rung city public school or one of two $15,000 plus private schools where kids do not know how to catch a football or ride a two-wheeled bike. You find a house in the suburbs and you move there. You, my man, are living in the suburbs with your family. Over time, you come to realize that you did the best thing for your family and can admit that you have entered a new phase of your life, the suburban you. Help your wife decide if she should work or not. You live in a city and your wife has a nice career going as a corporate executive with a shampoo company. She likes her job and is engaged in her work. As a side benefit, she has a great excuse for talking about hair, one of her favorite topics. Then one day, after you have sex, she's pregnant. Her belly gets big and she delivers a baby in a hospital where they tell you to put on hospital scrubs over underwear you're not wearing. In 3 months, your wife resumes her career. You hire the nanny that she selects, and you think that everything is going the way that makes your wife happiest, except for one problem. Every single day, your wife comes home from work crying. Not a little sniffle, but a full-fledged, all-out 15-minute sob. Each and every day, you ask her what's wrong. Why are you crying, you ask, and she tells you the same thing. She says, I like working, but I want to stay home with Blake. You are fortunate that either scenario is an option, so every single day for 2 years you say, honey, you do what will make you happy. The next day, and every Monday through Friday thereafter, you will relive the same scenario. It lasts about 15 to 20 minutes each evening. Your feeling on this matter is crystal clear. You believe that there is nothing more important than your kid, and that the right thing is for your wife to stay at home with him. You, however, do not want to reveal this opinion to her because you feel even more strongly that this difficult decision is hers to make. The best answer, you believe, is one that will make her happiest. One day, your wife comes home and announces that she's made a decision. She is clear, she says, and she has inner peace. She wants to stay home. You say, whatever will make you happy, honey. Except that the next day, when you come home, she tells you that she will continue working. You reply, whatever will make you happy, honey. Then one day, for real, she makes her decision and the next day announces it to her colleagues. That, you and your son believe, is the best decision that she's ever made, and by the way, she has never cried again about that. Next stop, the suburbs. Move to the suburbs. You've spent 3 or 4 nights a week, or so it seems, over the past year and a half, looking for a house in the suburbs. In the last month or so, you've really ramped up your search for a suburban home because you had sex again and you just found out that your wife is pregnant with your second child. Alone, you leave your city house while your wife stays at home with your child. You leave when your son goes to bed, usually between 8 and 10:30 p.m., a time that you're never able to predict because with your first child, you did not want to interfere with his natural sleep patterns, a philosophy that, by the way, your wife turned 180 degrees on with your daughter, your second child. From where you live in the city, you drive the half hour up to the North Shore suburbs where you think you'll live, because there you are close to the lake and your kids could go to the best schools around. They are public schools, and kids there know what a football is and can ride two-wheeled bikes. You make this trek many evenings armed with listings of properties that are for sale and a suburban map, which you have marked in advance, noting the exact location of each property. You arrange the listing sheets in order in which you will drive by the homes that are for sale so that you could perform this thankless task in as short a time as possible, so that you could get home and go to sleep, so that you could wake up refreshed and ready to be a corporate executive tomorrow. Your task is to drive by each house and see if you could find one that you could imagine you and your family living in. You think that this task should not take that long, given the amount of money you're willing to pay for a house, but you are wrong. You are wrong because everything that you look at looks so old and run down. At the time, you're living in a 4-story contemporary city house. It's large and clean and was new when you moved in. While you are stepping up the purchase price-wise, it doesn't seem that way house-wise. You think that in the price range you're looking at, you should be able to find a house on a hill overlooking the lake with a nice spread of land, and a house should ramble. You think that such a house should exist, but you are dead wrong. Rather, the houses are old-looking, they're on small lots, and they need hundreds of thousands of dollars of work. This, you come to accept, is the price you pay for brick streets, big trees, living close to the lake, having smart neighbors who are interesting, and access to really good schools. The brokers who assist you in this process are generally really old ladies. They're not like you and your wife at all. In fact, being old and out of touch seem to be the two main characteristics of the brokers with whom you align yourself. These are brokers who were last in the city you were moving from 25 years ago, and whose main qualification is their tenure in living in the suburbs where you are looking. You tell them in great detail the characteristics of a house and a street that will appeal to you, but they keep on sending you listing sheet after listing sheet of properties that don't even come close. You invite them to your city house and try your best to articulate what you want, but they send you to see the opposite. You up your upper limit by a few $100,000, but it makes no difference in what you see. The houses all need so much work, and they were all designed for the way families lived 80 years ago, however that was. This routine becomes redundant until one day your friend boss says to you, "Why don't you give Megan O'Connor a call?" You do, and you find out that she lived where you live in the city, and she knows your scene. She's young like you, and she gets it. You ask Megan to please call your wife so that your wife could articulate to her what you want in a house in a neighborhood. They talk, and Megan says, "There's a house that just came on the market that I think you will like." Your wife says, "Okay," and you meet Megan at the house that evening after work. You drive up to the house, and you and your wife look at each other and know that this is the one you will buy. You walk through it, and it's funky. It has personality and character and a large yard with big trees. It's close to the lake and schools and is on a brick street that many call gracious because the houses are set back so far from the road. You tour the house, you accept that you will want to do extensive work on it, and you walk out. You and your pregnant wife talk on the lawn, and you tell Megan that you'll buy the house. Your wife says that there is no better house for your family and that she would like this house. "This is the one," she says. Later that evening, after your broker's office is closed, you submit a signed contract and drop it in the mail slot on the front door of your broker's office. It falls to the floor. You and your wife are happy. This issue is behind you. Until that night, that is. Your wife, at 2 o'clock in the morning, wakes up crying. "I don't want to move," she cries. "I don't like that old house." You know that your wife does not like change, even in small doses. For God's sake, she's still using a 1984 Macintosh SE. She is so upset that you say, "The only thing that we could do is retrieve the contract that I dropped off at Megan's office earlier this evening. Because nobody was there, I slipped it in the mail slot, and we could fish it out."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?